I joined the BBC as an organisation which you'll be familiar with in 2001 at the relatively late age of 27 actually. I didn't get into it for a while. Was sort of messing around and wondering what to do with the rest of my life. It was something I always wanted to do. So I went to Australia travelling, managed to get some experience in the soccer industry there in broadcasting, came back and the BBC for whatever reason, decided to give me a job. From there, that was 9 years ago, so from there I got involved in Premier League soccer and Championship soccer as well, football at all levels really in the UK, and cricket, and travelled the world with the England cricket team to such far off places as Pakistan and the Caribbean and India and Australia and New Zealand and South Africa. It was fantastic. But yeah, the last 2 years predominantly has been Premier League soccer. And I knew that Seattle had been granted a franchise, and I just followed it from there on in, and we sort of kept contact. I was brought in last year to cover one game against Houston, a 2-1 victory on a glorious sunny day. I was here for the inaugural game as well, doing a mock broadcast. So I suspected it would be me sort of filling in as and when required, and then that developed into being offered the role full time. Well, soccer has been going in the UK since sort of the late 19th century, so obviously the culture there, football is embedded deep into the psyche of fans and of the society really. Since I think America has a large role to play actually in the EPL becoming the behemoth of a league that it is. It was only when American football came onto our screens, the NFL, in the 80s, people such as Montana, Dan Marino, they're household names in the UK to people of a certain vintage like me. It was only then that we saw really how a sports league should really operate. Big stadiums, television deals, very slickly put together. And I think that made English football look and take notice. At the time in the 80s there were lots of terraces, hooliganism was rife, the product itself wasn't a great thing to watch. On the field not so bad, Liverpool had a great team in the 80s, but in terms of the viewing experience it left a lot to be desired. So America, having looked across the pond and realised that perhaps that's how you do things, out of that came the Premier League. But in comparison with Major League Soccer, it's just too early to make that, I think. I think if you're looking for a playing comparison, I think you'd look sort of Championship, I suppose, for a comparison. When you go to Questfield for an MLS game, I think the experience is Premier League. There's no question about that. Well, the atmosphere's terrific. It's quite English in its feel. People standing up, jumping up and down and singing, but there is the continental side of it with the banners and the flags and the streamers and the banners, and that side of it. I think it's a real sort of mesh of all of European football in the viewing experience. I'm really interested to see that even in the club seats, people were standing for the full 90 minutes. Now, if you do that in an English Premier League ground, you're told to sit down. There are health and safety issues here, and the person behind you might not be able to see the game properly, much to the chagrin of a lot of football fans who want to stand for 90 minutes, who are used to being on the terraces a few years ago. So from that perspective, the noise level, the enthusiasm and the football intelligence in Seattle, I think is comparable to English Premier League games.